I am in North Bend, Ohio at the tomb of the 9th president, William Henry Harrison. And while I've been here several times before, today I wanted to look at a few different Harrison related sites here in this little Ohio community. So let's go check this out first. William Henry Harrison's tomb is located on the crest of Mount Nebo overlooking the Ohio River. Harrison was of course a very important figure in American history, not so much for his brief presidential tenure, but rather for his role in settling and governing the Ohio River Valley and Indiana Territory, along with his military leadership before and during the War of 1812. Harrison was elected president in 1840, and after delivering what is still the longest inaugural address in history, in the cold and rain without wearing a coat, he fell ill with pneumonia. He died exactly 1 month into office, having accomplished little, and his quick death being his primary legacy. He was the shortest serving president and the first to die in office. Well, this is a real disappointment. It is 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. I was kind of worried they would close it off. But as you can see, this front gate, only the front gate, someone's clearly been here today, is padlocked. So I guess we cannot go and see the actual tomb, the crypt where Harrison is laid to rest. I do have a video where I was able to go inside. It's a very old video, so not that great, but if you're interested, feel free to look that up. The towering monolith over his crypt was added in 1922. It's Art Deco but borders on looking like a fascist watchtower. This is the view from the tomb of the Ohio River. I have been here every season and can confirm that only in winter can you actually see the Ohio River from here. It's usually blocked out by the foliage. Back here you can see Harrison's original tomb. Old Tippy Canoe is interred behind that wall. Well, that's real disappointing that the inside was closed. I hope it becomes safe enough where they'll keep it open more. Guess I'll just have to come back and make another video here in the future. But while I am here today, I want to more thoroughly explore the history of the Harrisons here in North Bend, Ohio. So let's head into town. This historical marker marks the approximate spot of William Henry Harrison's home and estate. After being the first governor of the Indiana Territory, victor of the Battle of Tippecanoe and the Battle of Thames, and serving as governor of the Ohio Territory, he moved here to what is now North Bend on the Ohio River and built a very large and nice house with expansive farms and mills before moving on to Congress. He was retired here at the age of 68 in 1840 when the Whigs nominated the war hero as their presidential nominee. Even though he was relatively apolitical and very reluctant, but he did solidly win the presidency, and died soon after. It is a real travesty that Harrison's home here is not preserved. His son sold most of the estate in 1871, and I believe the house either burned down or was razed. It would be so great if it were still here and living on as one of the great presidential historic sites and museums. What a missed opportunity. Especially because while one president built and lived in the home, another president was born in it. Benjamin Harrison was born here in his famed grandfather's house on August 20th, 1833. Benjamin Harrison would go on to be the 23rd president and survive the full length of his term. This is such historic ground, and all that's left is a historical marker. North Bend has some festive Christmas decorations up for the holidays. I've stumbled across something that's quite interesting. This marker is about the Cincinnati and Whitewater Canal. In the 1820s and 30s, just before the widespread use of railroads, canals were being invested in and constructed all over Ohio and Indiana as an efficient means of trade and commerce. That was short-lived. But you know what else was short-lived? President William Henry Harrison. Regardless, Harrison was a big proponent of the Cincinnati and Whitewater Canal and was a major stockholder in the Canal Company. He sold this parcel of his farm to the company for a canal tunnel. And I found where you can still see the abandoned canal tunnel a ways down the slope from the marker. That is the crumbling portal of the Cincinnati and Whitewater Canal Tunnel, supported by William Henry Harrison, still standing. Harrison provided the clay and cordwood for manufacturing the bricks of this tunnel, and the tunnel was structurally sound and operated. A steamer carried passengers from Cincinnati under this tunnel to Harrison's farm on the other side, where they witnessed the canal groundbreaking ceremony. Harrison's tomb was a few hundred feet above the other portal of the canal, but I believe that was destroyed, so this is all that's left. Railroads quickly replaced canals like this, and the tunnel was closed and abandoned after 1956 due to large floods. And here it is, still totally flooded. That is a fascinating piece of hidden history. Now I'm gonna take a drive around North Bend to locate some more historic sites. Here at this large power plant billowing tons of smoke is where President Benjamin Harrison grew up. Where the Miami Fort Station power plant is now was once a large farm known as The Point, which was gifted by William Henry Harrison to his son, Congressman John Scott Harrison, who was the father of Benjamin Harrison. Kid Gloves Harrison grew up at the home and farm that was here, and sadly it was demolished in 1959 for this useless junk. Again, that would have been an amazing and important historic site and museum for all Americans to enjoy, but all we've got is this monument coated with coal soot. The monument was erected by the Daughters of the American Revolution in 1959. Benjamin Harrison's first wife, Caroline Scott Harrison, was the first president of that organization. Also at the site of Benjamin Harrison's boyhood farm is the Fort Finney Monument. The fort was built around here in 1785 as a stopover and a place from which to attempt a treaty with the Shawnee. This monument also marks a pioneer gravesite the power plant is built over. Now I'm going to drive to a spot I have never been to before, the Shawnee Lookout. I'm now a little ways from Harrison's tomb, very close to the Indiana state line, and I'm at a park called the Shawnee Lookout. Here's their sign on COVID-19 mitigation tactics at the park. And this here is an Indian burial mound. This is a relatively small one, but it's really well preserved, and you can find these all over the Ohio River Valley. Shawnee Lookout has some historic structures. This here is a log cabin built in 1795 by Micaiah Dunn. This is pretty typical of what most homes around here look like at the time. Well, except for their neighbor William Henry Harrison's giant farm. So that's pretty cool. It's over 200 years old. Actually, it looks like it was moved here from Elizabethtown, Ohio. And Dunn was an early settler and the son of a captain in the Revolutionary War. And just a ways down from that log cabin is the old stone schoolhouse. This structure was built in the early 1800s. It actually had two purposes. School would meet on the top floor here, but underneath it, there's actually a spring, so this served as the entrance to the spring house. This is a native wildflower area. Those smokestacks back there, I'm sure, are helping with their preservation. Alright, so I made it to the end of the road, and it ends at the Miami Fort Trail. I thought you could just drive up to the overlook, but looks like we're gonna have to hike over a mile and back. So wasn't planning on that, but we're here. Guy let me in for free today, so I guess we're doing it. Overlooking some floodplains. Would have been lots of fish and reptiles back in the day. Alright, so it looks like we're about to enter the Miami Fort. It was described in 1795 by Reverend James Smith and surveyed in 1817. It says that some small camp and habitation sites have been discovered within the walls, but the original builders of the fort probably lived in the valleys below. And the Miami built this fort more for ceremonial purposes. It wasn't as much military. Alright, looks like this is the Miami Fort. Yeah, clearly all that's left is one big earthwork, large earthen wall. I'm wondering if this line here was also part of the walls of the fort. Looks like this was the borrow pit. So this is pretty cool. It's a very large ceremonial ground for the Miami. I don't think this counts as a mound, but probably one of the largest in surface area I've ever seen. Those gigantic smokestacks definitely alter the ambiance. They're churning out a lot of smoke. Well, up on top of the fort, there's this big boulder which serves as a memorial to Daniel Carter Beard. He was one of the founders of the Boy Scouts of America. He was the first National Scout Commissioner, and I think this is here because he is from nearby Covington, Kentucky. There's a wall with some millstones at either end. Here's a placard on how they use plant fibers to weave moccasins and baskets. I'm now walking alongside the Ohio River. Well, I'm pretty far from it, but you know, should be a fairly good view once we get to the end. That is practically a makeshift dam. Alright, looks like this is another side of the fort wall. It was built, it was estimated to be 270 AD. Yeah, so this part of the wall would have been more for ceremonial purposes rather than military defense or something like that. There's another borrow pit and another big chunk of the fort. Alright, so it looks like this is the end of the fort. There's a pretty large expanse there. I must say there is an impressive amount of Adena earthworks along this trail. Looks like this is the site of a burial mound. I'm not sure if this is it or quite exactly where it is. Like from here we can get a pretty good view of the Oxbow wetlands. That over there is Indiana. Here's another burial mound. Alright, looks like I made it to the Shawnee Lookout. In the 1700s, there were many tribes in this region, but the last to enjoy this view from what was known as the Point were the Shawnees, before they were pushed out and killed. And this whole expanse on this side of the Ohio up to the Little Miami River was the boyhood farm of President Benjamin Harrison. He would later on in his life move across the Little Miami there over into Indiana. Looks like the train on that railroad bridge is moving very slowly, like inching along. The automobiles on the I-275 bridge are going much faster than the train. 275 does a very weird thing over here where it goes from Indiana into Ohio, then back into Indiana right there, and then over into Kentucky. That means we're staring at 3 states right now. Maybe not Rock City's 7 states, but that's still pretty cool. There's a good view of the industries of Lawrenceburg, Indiana. One of those is a old distillery. There's also a big casino over there. Alright, the train has made it over the bridge. While man has most certainly marred this beautiful landscape, it's still pretty cool. Not quite what the Shawnees or the Harrisons would have seen. So that was the tomb of President William Henry Harrison and the Harrison sites here in North Bend, Ohio. If you like this video, then please check out my other videos on presidential sites, tombs, and all sorts of stuff. And thanks for watching.